Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sun Show. I don't want to do the full intro. What am I going to say? That we hate everything? Find us on Twitter. If you're listening, you found us on Twitter, and you do hate everything. This is not a safe and sunshiny place for your Pitt Athletics fix. If you're queuing this up right now, you have made an agreement with yourself that you're going to listen to 30 to 45 minutes of bitching, and that's what this is going to be. This is the Loyal Sun Show, and we're pissed off. Squid, Dylan, I won't ask how you guys are doing because it's now Wednesday, and I know that we don't feel any better, so...
No, I feel worse.
How pissed are you now is how I'll frame it. How pissed are you still?
I'm no less disappointed about the game, and now I am coming down with a cold, so it has multiplied how bad I am.
Yeah, it's bleak. I've seen enough people trying to say that, the season's in front of us. It's just one game, but Pat Narduzzi has gifted us several heartbreaking, just unacceptable, horrible losses, and that's right up there with all of them. From the decision making to the missed opportunities, 14 penalties, whatever you want to point to. Really no bright spots whatsoever. And yeah, here we are. We're 2-1 with a loss to West Virginia. 7 straight losses to Power 4 teams, I believe is the number.
Jesus Christ.
So that's where we're at.
Let me kick us off with a question. At what point did you guys know we were burnt? At what point did you say, "Oh, we're fucked"?
I know when you knew that we were fucked, and it was early on. It may have been in the first quarter, and you were like, "Oh no, we're gonna lose this, aren't we?" But that's kind of your trademark.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Look, this is bad. Eli looks worse than imaginable, but I don't know. They missed a field goal. We missed a field goal. We're not down that many. Guys are open." So up until they put in the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen, that's whenever I was like actually worried. Rich Rod was a life raft, and that like brought me back in a little bit, but
I did not get to have the same viewing experience you two did. I mentioned on the preview pod that I had a prior engagement. Believe it or not, it was a fall wedding. So yes, I did have a wedding in the middle of the Backyard Brawl on Saturday. Was able
Lucky
to watch.
You.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I was able to watch the first half on my phone while getting ready for the wedding, waiting to head to the ceremony. First half was unbelievably painful, and then I missed a portion of the third quarter, came back, and Pitt was kicking a field goal to tie it up at 14. And then all of a sudden, throughout cocktail hour, we were up 10. And at that point, I was like, wow, they might have just figured this out. They might have weathered the storm. And then I, trying to be not completely sucked into my phone, was shaking some hands, kissing some babies. And, well, we know how the rest of the game went. But I didn't have the same viewing experience you all did. I don't know if I had that, oh shit moment, this game's over. But I will say through most of the first half, just the way things were going, the way we were missing opportunities, Eli was missing wide open receivers, I felt pretty bad about this one pretty early on.
Do you remember at what point you said, "Oh no, we're going to lose this"?
It's actually not what you're thinking of, Squid. I knew we were burnt before the game. I was on my couch watching the noon slate, something we haven't been able to do yet this year. And I was just following along on my phone as a Michigan team that I am not at all sold on in any capacity, because I don't think I don't think the new head coach is all that great, and I don't think they know how to use Bryce Underwood. But I digress. A Michigan team that I did not think was much better than Pitt absolutely reduced Central Michigan to a paste. No doubt, won by 60 points. Not even a glimmer of offense or, anything resembling putting up a fight on defense from Central Michigan. A Central Michigan team that came within 7 points of Pitt in the third quarter. And I watched that game progress and just said, oh, we are not a good football team. This is what an even decent football team does to their bottom of the barrel MAC opponent. And we aren't that. And then I started kind of questioning, the things that we brushed aside against Duquesne and against Central Michigan, those are going to be problems, aren't they? Those weren't just preseason jitters. Our offensive line is a problem, isn't it? Our lack of desire or ability to run the football is a problem, isn't it? Eli giving away a free ball at least once a game, that's going to be a problem, isn't it? And so I just kind of slowly started to realize, if Ohio sucks less than we think they do, we're probably exactly as good as, or maybe worse than, this West Virginia team. So it was before the game I made the realization that we really had the rose-tinted glasses on the last 2 weeks, and Pitt just might suck.
Well, I was right. Kind of poetic because you were the most optimistic in the last podcast.
Correct.
Yeah. So in a matter of, what was that? A couple days and 0 games played, you went from I'm not worried to we're going to lose. And that's just how we are as Pitt fans.
Yeah. I mean, every football game that occurs is a data point. Watching Central Michigan against a team that is as good as I thought Pitt was, and it just looking completely different, kind of put me in my place. And what can I say? I'm fickle. The fickle sun show.
There were people, David included, I'm not just singling you out, there were many people who were about ready to pull the fire alarm after the opening play. Whenever
Can you blame them?
No. But after a few things go wrong, it's okay, it's in West Virginia. We had the dumbest start ever. Both teams have made mistakes. Let's just weather the storm and survive this. And that kind of happened, but there were just way, way, way too many red flags along the way for it to be oh yeah, just the jitters or just a boneheaded mistake here and there. It was consistent every quarter, things going wrong. And it just snowballed to the point of everything going wrong.
It was pretty bad the entire time, even though Pitt was up 10 at one point. That's one of those games where I feel you kind of sit back. I know it's a rivalry game and it's college football and stupid things happen, but 14 penalties isn't just a fluke. Your team came very unprepared and undisciplined for the game. The first play of the game, letting up no doubter sack and almost allowing a scoop and score. A lot of things you can point to in this game to wow, Narduzzi just simply did not have the boys ready. And I don't want to boil it all down to coaching. Eli Holstein missed 2-3 walk-in touchdown passes in the first half. He
threw a pick on one of them.
The other two I'm thinking of, Des Reed down the sideline on the first possession. Would have been a really good play, but also air mailed the ball by 5 yards and out of bounds. And then also missed Justin Holmes down the sideline on what would have been a walk-in touchdown. No defender within 8 yards of him. So, I mean, those are players have to make plays. If he makes even one of those plays, it's a completely different game. 2 of those games, and maybe we pull away early. 2 of those plays. But he did not make those plays. But just so much happened throughout the game where it was wow, these guys just weren't ready to come play in this environment.
No. And even, like you said, Dylan, when good things were happening, it was still bad. We would get an interception off of one of the worst passes we've ever seen outside of Eli Holstein. I don't know why that Scotty Fox guy was in the game, but he almost gave it to us. But every time we got an interception, couple yards, field goal. We couldn't take advantage of their mistakes and
pick up a fumble, try to pitch it backwards.
Yeah. You can get away with one or two of those, but not 9 or 10 of those.
Not one per drive.
Or how about long pass play that wide receiver forgets which direction to run and can't get into the end zone, and you settle for 3 points? How about a couple of those?
Bryce Yates was running after the catch as if he had money on the game. Like, did everything in his power to not score on that play. There was one guy in front of him, and that guy was being blocked pretty effectively downfield, and he just ran into him.
Kenny
like
Johnson
he took the only, he took the only route he could have possibly taken to not score. And he looked
also just not fast whatsoever.
Yeah, it looked like me running out there, like with Division I athletes. I mean,
we're just going to name plays where even when they should have been positive, they were bad. Eli makes a really good fourth down conversion, throw to Malachi Thomas, and then Lyndon Cooper just comes and absolutely brains someone at the end of the play for a 15-yard unnecessary roughness.
Yeah, down to the 10-yard line, get backed up 15, miss a field goal. Yep, that's how you get the boys back on track.
I mean, everything about this game was so bizarre, so topsy-turvy. Every time we had a guy running wide open, Holstein found a way to airmail it. Comedy of errors in terms of penalties and harebrained mistakes.
Can we tell Holstein to stop trying to throw the ball away when he's being dragged to the ground? I feel like that happens a couple times a game, and it was even more terrible in the West Virginia game. It's like, dude, just go down. You're already like halfway there. This isn't going to go well. This isn't like NCAA football.
Well, when you're getting sacked every third time you drop back, I can understand trying to mitigate some of those losses, by chucking the ball out of bounds, even though he doesn't make it out of bounds. He just kind of throws it into the middle of nowhere, and it's a very clear intentional grounding.
I don't know. Halfway through the game, I said it before the game. I said, you know what? I don't care about what happens after this game. Win today, get to 3-0, and after that, whatever happens, happens. Like, I just really want to win this game. But deep down, I was like, no, if we win that game, I'm going to have high hopes for the rest of the season. Beat West Virginia. I don't care how bad they are. That's like an okay, at minimum, win. Might be a quality win depending on how the rest of the season goes. But when we were at halftime, I was like, dude, win this game. I don't care if we lose the rest of them. I know what we saw last year. I know how much that sucked, but please just beat West Virginia, and I will be content losing the rest, because apparently we aren't that good. And I thought that might be the case. I thought we might have squeaked it out, and I was like, hey, if we get through this, we're playing with house money. We beat West Virginia in the last year of the Backyard Brawl. We'll have bragging rights at the very least, whatever else happens in the season. And we didn't get that.
Bragging rights would be huge right now. Hand up, I haven't logged on to our Twitter since the game because of all of the very justified West Virginia fans in our mentions talking shit to us. You won the rivalry game. To the victor goes the spoils. Our mentions are a mess right now. The only thing that bothers me, though, is I just wish they were funnier or more clever. Our entire feed right now is people responding cope or rent free in contexts that don't really make sense. But yeah, it's for that reason. I mean, just the sheer hell that being a Pitt fan is going to be because we lost to West Virginia for the next year plus. would love to win, but Squid, I'm kind of with you. Would have wagered away the rest of the season. Also, even if we won, wouldn't have felt good about the rest of the season. There was a point where we were up 10, and I thought this drastically impacts my expectations for the rest of the season, even if we close this one out.
But you
because they looked horrible. They looked horrible.
You could still lie to yourself a little bit. You probably wouldn't believe it, but you could lie to yourself and be like, hey, we ended up beating West Virginia by 10 on the road, despite our quarterback playing like Phil Jurkovic for 3/4 of it. And if he hits one of those 4 wide open receivers, it's not even a ball game. If we don't do X, Y, or Z,
if you think we weren't on this episode, doing this episode the next morning, I'm in the car on the way back from the wedding. Can't wait to get off my chest on how great Pitt is after pulling out a gutsy backyard brawl win. I mean, come on. We know who we are.
In theory, yes. That is absolutely what we would do. But I don't know, man. Some evidence has come to light that we're just kind of a dog shit program now. I don't know if we wanted to crack into the analytics Squid shared in the group message yet, but yeah, last like 40 games, Pitt is just a bottom of the barrel Power 4 program, and I don't think that we can pretend that we aren't anymore and do the whole like, I don't know, be optimistic about games where the bulk of the adversity was self-inflicted. I think we might just need to come to terms with what we've become.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've cracked the seal there, so if you want to just go for it.
Squid, I'll leave it to you. I think this is something you wanted to discuss. This is some analytics run by Pitt fan at Never Lose Bets.
Yeah, great follow. Usually entertaining content, but apparently did a deep dive after the brawl just to torture himself, like we all do. A lot of self-deprecating Pitt humor over the last few days. So since the ACC championship game, take a guess at what Pitt's record is overall. 41 games played. Don't look. You already probably looked. For the listeners out there,
I did already look.
They're one game over 500. They're 21-20. Against Power 4 teams, this is what really matters. You have your Youngstown wins, your Duquesnes, whatever. You take them out. What are we against Power 4 teams? We're 14-19. That is very bad. That is like so sad. I make fun of like the terrible teams in other conferences for having records like that, not realizing that is also Pitt. Penalties per game, 2022, 110th, 2023, 130th, 2024, 110th, and so far this year we are 130th in penalties per game. That means we have almost the most penalties in the country every year.
How many teams are in the FBS nowadays? 136. All right.
Yeah,
impressive stuff. So
there, I believe in 2023 there was 132, so we were the third worst. So I'm
not ready to hop off these stats yet. So that makes it 6 straight losses to Power 4 opponents. We are now 1 and call it 7. 1 and 7 in the last 8 against FBS opponents. Dating back to last year, one of the wins this year, obviously against FCS Duquesne.
That's kind of messed up that our last FBS win was against Syracuse. We were undefeated and had one of the best defensive performances in program history. On top of the world. I remember we were in the stadium sitting there. We waited until the clock struck 0 to leave that. It was a Thursday night. We had our feet kicked up from halftime on, just laughing at Kyle McCord throwing interceptions and getting sacks.
Because it was the best. We wanted to relish in it because it was the best we've ever felt possibly as Pitt fans outside of the ACC championship game, because Pitt has never played a game in my lifetime against a quality opponent that was such a no-doubter. Even the ACC championship was like 6 drives of hell as the game was tied, what 21-21. We're playing a 5-1 team just outside of the top 25. We were ranked, and it was just pedal to the metal, back of skull to ground, just beating them into the dirt. And we've been one of the worst, maybe the worst, Power 4 program since that day. Squid, there's another thing on this sheet I wanted to call attention to, and that is the away record. Since the ACC championship, we are 5-11 on the road. 5-11.
Mm-hmm. We don't have the ruckus environment of Acrisure Stadium on our side.
Are we walking out of these stadiums and being blindsided by the fact that there is noise coming out of the crowd? This would be the perfect opportunity for a Pitt hater to make some joke about us being so accustomed to the silence of Acrisure. But honestly, looking at those numbers, is there merit?
Well, I think the big thing is if you rewind prior to our losing streak and you showed some of these stats, it's like, yeah, it's not the best, but we would chalk up a lot of the bad parts of that to just having Phil Dracovic, and it's like, the Phil here doesn't count. But now it's becoming more of a trend. Our excuses are limited, and this is just who we are under Narduzzi now.
And I think it's amplified. We don't have to rehash the entire history of these last few years post ACC title, but it's important to point out that this is post ACC title. They did not get any better at any point. It was an instant drop off, and here we are 4 years later, staring down the barrel of 6-6 again, 5-7, 6-6. So, man,
is this the point of the post-loss podcast where we mentioned that Pat Narduzzi handed the keys to a playoff caliber team to Frank Signetti? Is this the point
obligatory?
Where
That's
obligatory. We made one hire that ruined the entire program for the rest of forever. Okay, sorry. Over.
I'm going to keep this on Pat Narduzzi for now and rewind to the game. We touched on a lot of the big mistakes by our quarterback and other players making key mistakes. We got to talk about the last drive we had in regulation. The punt. It'll live in infamy as the punt, just like the field goal from the goal line. And
well, that's just the kick because he did not make the field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, where else has Narduzzi showed his cowardice?
The background of
the extra point against Toledo.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, this is just who he is, right? The big mouth jackass head coach who wants to flaunt how tough they are and how awesome and big bravado, all that, blah blah blah. When it really comes down to it in a big game in a big spot, and he has a chance to make a call to really show, like, I'm going to put Servassier Dennis, drop your nuts, play. Narduzzi every single time shrivels up, moment's too big, and he takes the safe route. Hard to say it's safe when it's like probably the least analytically sound way to try to win the football game. But every time he takes the safe route, the most conservative route, the ultimate I'm playing not to lose, not playing to win decision, and he does it every single time. And it's a trend, and it's just who he is. But yeah, I mean, to that scenario, 4th and 4, 37-yard line, I believe. Is that right? And what? You have 3 options in that scenario. You go for it. If you get it, you win the game. You can kick a field goal. If you make it, more or less probably win the game. Still have to get a stop. I don't know. With the defense, they might have allowed West Virginia to score twice in that last 2.5 minutes. Or you can punt the ball and let your defense try to make a stop, keep a team from driving the length of the field, which, sure, in theory, like, you're making them go. It ultimately ended up being like another 29 yards versus what they would have had to go if you didn't get it on 4th down. But anyway, you shake it, punting the ball. You cannot win the game by punting the ball. You can win the game by getting a first down.
Yeah, and Pat Narduzzi's giant, stupid head, his ego was like, hey, if you punt it here, your defense can win you the game. And that's like what he reverted to. Was, when in doubt, put the defense in the field, even though they've been kind of getting torched by Nico and someone's getting hurt every play. And the last drive, West Virginia marched on us very easily. So that's what he reverts to. I don't know why Cade Bell wasn't in his ear being like, dude, I know our offense is pretty much sucked today, but let us just try to get 4 yards. And if we don't get 4 yards, your defense can still go out there and try to win you the game.
Right.
They just have to stop them from going 60 yards instead of 80. Like, what's the difference? There was so much time left. Even if there was like 50 seconds left, I feel like that is still enough time in college to be like, yeah, I want my offense to clinch it here.
Plus, I like the odds of us getting a first down there more than I like the odds that he didn't even pin him deep. Where did they start that drive on? Like the
11, I think.
Yeah, it was a fine punt.
No, if we're punting in that situation, and I'm going to pull this up and fact check this. If we're punting in that situation, I want them inside the 5.
They were at the 13.
13. Okay.
So a punt that netted 24 yards.
29. Because they took a delay a game.
Right. Who could forget the best part?
Yeah, you don't get that extra 5 yards, though. I mean, I know the stat sheets will say it was a net 29, but effectively, decision-making net 24 yards.
Yeah.
Not to put it on the punter, but
yeah, junk is the least of our worries in this scenario.
I mean,
right.
Every week,
going for on 4th, then you are pinning them deep.
I mean, I think your call-out's very fair. It could have been Junko right. This wasn't his best punt. It wasn't his worst, but there are scenarios where this very well could have been like a difference of like 10 yards.
Yes.
And also, maybe just try kicking a field goal. It's not like we have, I don't even know who our worst kicker ever was. It's 51 yards. Or 50, whatever it was.
For 37, you're looking at like 54,
yeah,
I would say.
I don't understand how you don't try a 54-yard field goal in 2025. That is playing so scared.
It's hard to comprehend given how boisterous and loudmouth and old school our coach is that we are this undisciplined, this frequently cowardly, and we are this goddamn soft in the trenches. And that's not even mentioning the fact that it kind of looked like Pitt was doing the go down and fake an injury to save time team, which is just that is the cherry on the you are the softest fucking team ever cake.
Yeah, we can say the punt was cowardly. It was. It was absolutely cowardly. But at the end of the day, your defense is going out there and has to stop a not very good West Virginia offense from going 85 yards on you. And they did. And they did not care about the clock at all. They were running it. There was very little resistance. And whenever that drive crossed midfield, I think we all thought they're probably going to score. And if they do score, they'll probably go for 2 and win it. And if they don't, this is going to go overtime and we're going to lose. Once they had the ball and they got a couple first downs, I think at that point, I walked to the bar and closed my tab and was like, once this game hit 0 and Pitt loses, I'm just going to run away. But I didn't. I stuck it out and took my medicine. But that's about how over it was.
What's funny is we aren't even talking about overtime. Like, because I think the three of us knew, as did everyone in the state of Pennsylvania and the state of West Virginia, that Pitt didn't have a prayer in overtime. Favors teams that can even run a little bit. I think we knew we were cooked, and that's exactly what we saw. It took West Virginia just marched 25 yards in overtime. ESPN says across this drive, and then Pitt just went backwards. Holstein threw a ball out of bounds on 4th and 20 with the game on the line.
And one that should have been a pick six to play before.
Yeah.
So, back to the defense, though. I think this was just the epitome of an Narduzzi defense game. There were big plays for us, and there were big plays against us. And that can only get you so far. You gotta batten down at the end, and they didn't. I'll give them credit. They kept us in it a little bit at the beginning. They got some turnovers that were kind of just terrible throws right to us. But by the end, it was so clear that they were injured, tired, on their heels that they weren't getting any stops.
Ty Edwards, 25 carries, 141, 3 touchdowns. Didn't have a carry coming into this game on the season. Northern Iowa transfer, and the signature Narduzzi defense, who doesn't let anyone run the football. Allowed that to happen. Allowed West Virginia to go for 174 on the ground. Like bigger picture stuff, like we don't stop the run anymore. That was the calling card of Narduzzi defenses. You could rely on them to stop the run, and you had to be beat with the pass. They don't do that anymore. The quarterback is good. We thought he was good. We thought we had a good quarterback a year ago at this point. He's no good. So, what is this program? What's this team? The offense, as much as we wanted to be excited about Cade Bell's go offense, clearly the personnel isn't there to operate it at a Power 4 level. So, anyway, is there any hope for optimism coming out of that game?
I'm going to say no, but you guys know that I love to be the Debbie Downer. No, we had a bunch of Pitt fans in our mentions calling us the disloyal sons. Haha, that's a good one. I love that anytime we point out very serious problems with the program. We just get like 4 of those. There are people in this city that think that this team can still make a dent in the ACC and even make playoff noise. Delusional. You are delusional. We had to run a hurry up to make it look like we blew out Central Michigan. We kind of got pushed around by a West Virginia team that's bad. Sorry to break it, Mountaineer fans. I'm not coping. I'm not seething. Your team is still horrible, and your coach still can't identify talent on his own roster. This is a bad football team. The defense is bad. And if Cade Bell didn't scheme Poppy Williams or Kenny Johnson open every other play, Eli Holstein's stat line would look a lot more like Phil Dracovich's than it does right now, which, comparatively speaking, it looks just like that of a good NCAA quarterback. This is a bad football team.
This is the most optimistic thing that will be said on this podcast. I think what the first games of the season showed me is we will probably beat a team that's pretty good, maybe twice, but we will lose most of our games. I think the previous games showed that there are opportunities for big plays. If Des Reed is okay, he'll bust off some long runs. Maybe in a game or two, Eli Holstein, instead of overthrowing 4 easy touchdowns, he hits 2 of those. And maybe we still get an interception or 2 or a strip sack, and we pull out a win against a team that's pretty good. But the odds of all those things happening in one game, I think, are pretty low. So we will probably just be what Pitt is in most seasons. Barely bowl eligible.
How do you guys feel about having a bye week right now? It's the most needed bye week we've ever had.
Perfectly timed.
Yeah, I'm content not watching or worrying about it this week.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Bye week was perfect in so many senses. I think we had a lot of injuries. Guys are going to have to heal up. We wouldn't have been able to wait until Wednesday to record this because we would have had to do another preview episode. And that, I mean, so great bye week schedule for the Loyal Sons. I think we need some cool down time. Are you guys going to be able to bounce back for Louisville? Like, how do you think you feel? Call it a week and 2 days from today, Friday night, waiting for the noon Louisville tailgate the next day. Can you get there in 9 days?
I actually already think we're going to beat Louisville. And that's not out of like, oh, I've talked myself back into the team. If you've listened to the last 38 minutes, you know that's not the case. It just feels very Pitt that they would beat Louisville and like look pretty improved and then just kind of fall apart afterward. I think I do think that this team has room to improve.
Yeah.
I think we could have a big bounce back week against Louisville. I think the line could get better. I think the defense could figure it out. And whether, Holstein needed this performance or we start looking down line at the bench, I think the offense could look better. But at this point, looking at the remaining schedule, we are significantly worse, even with improvements, than most of the teams that we're playing. I think this is still a team that will be lucky to go to a bowl, even if they improve.
So the people that are saying, yes, this is how we felt after the Western Michigan game, that is true. But we also didn't have a first-round quarterback and receiver on our roster.
No.
So we'll pause you there. That's a very large difference. And yeah, if Pitt somehow beats Louisville, I don't know how good Louisville is. I think they are better than us. They have some really good players. Miller Moss, we'll see how good he actually is, but I think they're going to be plenty good to beat Pitt. But let's just say after a bye week, we figure some things out and we come out and win. I will still be mad. I'll be like, well, what the fuck? You got me all that mad. You ruined the West Virginia game. Rich Rod's on the McAfee show laughing at us. You could beat them, but you can beat Louisville.
Rich Rod put in his third string quarterback to throw 2 picks and 3 passes before putting his starter back in, and you still lost to them. Fuck you.
And if that happens, I'm going to need to see 1 or 2 more ACC wins for me to get back on the train, because I know how this goes. Whenever we're down, something crazy and unexpected happens, but once we get back up, they kick us right back down off the cliff. They're like, oh, here, you're hanging on by a thread. Take my hand. You grab their hand, bam, kick to the face. Just kidding.
So we're not back yet. All right. Just making sure. Just making sure.
I don't know. Is it safe to say that we're all out on the Narduzzi era, or can he win you back? Because I think at this point, we kind of know what Eli is. I think we really know what every player that is currently contributing is. It comes down to, do you think that there is any more room in this program for success while Pat Narduzzi is at the helm? Can he turn this team around? Can he down to an amount that this athletic department can afford? Well,
looking at next year, we are losing 2 preseason All-Americans, more than likely. I imagine Kyle Lewis will leave for the NFL, and Desmond Reed is out of eligibility. Those are big shoes to fill. Quarterback, I don't know. There's probably some people out there hyping up Mason Heinschel.
But if you had to bet right now, even money, Eli Holstein, anything.
I think with any quarterback in college football, you just have to bet that they'll transfer, whether they're good or not. They're either going to the NFL or they're transferring because they didn't have a good year, or if they had a good year, someone else is giving more money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It might just be a case of like Eli. I don't know. The fan base might turn on him a bit if it doesn't go that well. It does go kind of well. There'll be teams out there that are like, "Hey, Pitt's misusing you. Come." So no, I feel like he just won't be the quarterback next year for one reason or another.
I think it's entirely too early to tell, but I had picked one. I'd say he is back next year, just because I think it's known enough at this point that the teams he does look good are very much a product of the offensive system. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be throwing a bag at him to leave or in his ear telling him like, no, you just need it. You need a change of pace, a change of scenery. And also I think his numbers, if he continues to play through the season, are going to be good enough, again, because of the offensive system, that Pitt's going to be like, well, we aren't going to get rid of this guy who threw for 20-something touchdowns and 3,400 yards. Also, side note about the offense, because I know it sounds like we're pretty wishy-washy on Campbell. I think I've determined that his play design and his overall system is good, but his decision-making during critical junctures is bad. Because there's a lot of third downs I question, a lot of decisions towards when to run the ball, when not to run the ball that I question. Sometimes he gets too cute. I think at critical moments he tends to fold, and honestly, he's 31. He's going to be a star someday. I don't know if that's going to be a Pitt.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism, and I also have a hard time blaming Kate when we so routinely see receivers running wide open, and the ball just doesn't get to them. I got to give him some credit.
Absolutely. He's the best OC that we've had since that 1 year Matt Canada decided to be good at his job. But there's just entirely too much what the absolute hell was that, Cade Bell.
Some Mark Whipple disrespect going on right now.
Mark Whipple had Izzy Jordan Addison and Kenny Pickett.
Fair enough. So back to your original question, are we out on the Narduzzi era?
Damn, I feel like I asked that and then went on a 5-minute tangent.
I think we all avoided
So-
it. We all avoided it in our own ways.
Yeah.
But I had to bring it back because I think that's the perfect way to cap this one off before we say so long. So here is how I am currently gauging my trust. I don't trust Narduzzi at all at this point. Like there's no part of me that's like, come on, guys, he's done a lot here. He's done a lot here. My thought process on being out on Narduzzi is, I still think we'd be better off if we have to pay a buyout to just buy out Capel. So I'm still. That's how I determine it: is which of our major sports coaches would you more prefer to buy out? So yeah, I would rather buy out Capel at this point. Still, Narduzzi can still change my mind on that, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot, and also feel like I don't know what the buyout numbers are, but I feel like any significant amount of money with 6 zeros in it would probably just be better off spent on NIL buying better players, and that's just my stance on it. But I'm not going to be, rallying if they decide fire Narduzzi. I'm going to be rallying people to boycott Pitt games anytime.
Yeah, I mean, just wait till year 3 of the Holstein Cade Bell era, and no, I'm not going to get on that road.
Maybe. Just have to wait 3 years with every quarterback and offensive coordinator, go through 5 years of hell, and then run it back.
Dylan, I think I'm going to err on your side, acknowledging that we can't get rid of him anytime soon, but also accepting what that implies, and that's going to be a lot of mediocrity. I don't think he can win in the portal era. Close games or crucial games, and I think 2021, as it becomes but a fond and distant memory, becomes more clearly an aberration.
Help us, Chris Pickle. You're our only hope.
Please help us. All right, I think that's a good place to leave this one. This was painful, but it was necessary. We needed to talk about it. So you two go on about your week. I know you have work to do. I know you've got non-Pitt related college football games to watch this weekend. You've got a bye week. Use the bye week. Relax. Kick your feet up. Don't even consider throwing on a condensed game or an old field pass to make you remember those glory days. Just sit back, disconnect yourself, and I'll see you boys next week. We decide to preview the Louisville game, but this week we're previewing the bye week with this. Go sit on your couch, drink some beers, don't think about Pitt for a little bit. Thanks for tuning in. As always, hail loyal sons of Pittsburgh.